Hello, please don't begin interpreting yet, this is just the introduction. Today I'm going to talk about the singles tax. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what it is in my speech, and I'm also going to talk about its effects on society. My speech will begin now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm single. Don't worry, I'm not saying that for pity, I'm perfectly happy so. But I was thinking the other day about the end of my traineeship, and I'd like to stay in Brussels, and I thought that for the first time in my life, it might be quite nice to live by myself without any annoying housemates. So I had a little look online to see what the prices were of a flat or a studio for one person. As you might expect, they were quite high. And it got me thinking about an article I read recently about the singles tax. The singles tax is the increased financial burden that single people face because they don't split living costs. It's a symbolic tax rather than a real one, and it depends on where you live. For example, Hargreaves Lansdown, which is a financial services business in the UK, estimates that single people spend on average £10,000 more a year. It's something that's affecting more and more Europeans. According to Eurostat, the European Statistics Office, the number of single households across the EU is on the rise. The average number of people per household is also falling. Between 2019 and 2022, the number of single households without children increased by 30.7% across the EU. So as you can see, it's something that's quite present across the EU. But why do single people face an increased financial burden? As I said, it's because they can't split living costs. For example, if you rent a one-bed flat by yourself, that will naturally cost more than if you live with a partner and can share the costs. In addition, smaller houses or apartments often cost more per metre squared anyway. That's without mentioning as well the additional costs like electricity, water, gas, internet, even a Netflix account. All of these are cheaper if you can share the costs with someone else. People living alone are also less likely to take advantage of economies of scale, which is when you buy greater quantities of something because it's cheaper in the long run. But this is more difficult if you live by yourself because there's a limit to the amount of bulk shopping, for example, that you can do. The singles tax also affects areas beyond the mere essentials. It can affect travel, socialising, entertainment. One example of this is the single supplement. This is when you go on holiday, for example, and you book a hotel. But the price for one person in one hotel room is not half of that of two people in a hotel room. And this difference, the bit above half, is what's known as the single supplement. Unfortunately, for me in particular, the singles tax affects women more than men. This is because women are more likely to live alone, and it also exacerbates existing problems that women face, like the gender pay gap, taking breaks from work, for example, to have children, and societal expectations. Single women, or single mothers even, are particularly affected. They may have to depend on child support payments or on part-time work with a low salary, which can be quite difficult to make ends meet. Although single households are making up a larger proportion of society, they're not a unified political force, and this is because it's a heterogeneous group made up of students, retirees, young workers, which makes it difficult for them all to come together and make their voices heard. So what can we do? Is the only solution to couple up? Or live with a friend even? Well, I'd like to remind you of some of the advantages of being single, just so that it doesn't seem so pessimistic. There's less need to compromise, you're more independent, you have more time for yourself and to spend with your friends. So I, for one, am in no hurry to couple up with the first person I meet just to save a bit of money. However, Brussels is known to be one of the most expensive places to live by yourself. So maybe my answer will be a bit different after I've lived in Brussels a little longer. Thank you.